massive explosions are being reported in Mexico City, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. President Waterman has warned the governments of the world to brace themselves.
People of Earth, attention.
What do you want?
You are next.
Jesus Christ! Fire, 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 fire! No!
Focus on your hopes, not your fears.
So I'm joined here by Simon, director of Invasion Planet Earth, a great British apocalyptic sci-fi film. And Simon, if you could just take us into the background of how this started.
Well, this was a long journey making this film. I made a film back in 1996, believe it or not. That's how old I am. And it was a supernatural thriller called Written in Blood. And we, took a long time to get that one going. And then after that, there were years and years of promises, and we were going to do this, and this was going to happen, and then that was going to happen. And things just never happened. These films were promised, and they just kept falling apart. And the Written in Blood was quite a successful little movie. So I was getting a bit frustrated, and it was such a hard film to make. I thought, if I'm going to make another film, I'm going to make this type of film that I want to make, which was a British sci-fi, War of the Worlds, Star Wars inspired British indie sci-fi movie. And it was going to have all those references to great sci-fi films that I was brought up on and sci-fi television. So I believe it or not, I started writing the script in like 1999. And it was kind of ready to go at about 2003. And then I started getting it going, and it looked like it was going to go. And then the money sort of comes in, and then it collapsed again. And then I worked through it, had kids, as you do. And then in 2008, it nearly went again. And we got a lot of money in from various sources. But filmmaking, in the old tradition, was a bit like building a house of cards. You get a bit here and a bit there, and then that would go there, and that would go there. Then the bottom one would fall away, and it would collapse. And that's exactly what happened in 2008. I mean, there was a recession as well, which didn't help. But so I was really frustrated. The years were passing by, and luckily the internet started to sort of come into better shape. And so by 2012, we could put video online. It was all very, very good quality, well, for those days. But things like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, these crowdfunding sites, were becoming available. And I was seeing other filmmakers putting their projects on things like on Facebook and Twitter, which was all quite new, and getting money in. So I thought, well, I'll give that a go. I was building up a network. All my friends were on it. And so I'd made a little pilot for Invasion Planet Earth, which was originally called Kaleidoscope Man. And I managed to get the guy that was in a thing called True Blood, Steve Moyer, to be in a pilot. And he came, we did this little scene. And it was a big CGI, scene. It's on YouTube if you want to look for it, or on our website. I thought, this is it. This will be great. And I put it out there, and money started to come in. People started to back it. But I tried to raise the full amount on crowdfunding, and realized it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. It's very, very hard to do. So I decided to shoot the film in phases. So we went out. We raised $7,000 on our first one, which was a lot of work, but it was enough to get things started. And then over the next 2 years, I ran another 6 more campaigns. So we ran 7 campaigns in all, and we clawed in sort of like $5,000 here, $6,000 there, $8,000 there, $2,000 here, and I was able to shoot about 25 minutes of the final film. And at that point, everybody knew me on Facebook. I was everywhere, and some investors came in, and they gave me. It's a low budget movie, but they gave me enough to pay for actors and the crew, and do what we wanted to do, and bring the tanks into central Birmingham and things like that. And eventually, in 1919, we finished it, and it was wow, it was quite a long old journey. So it was, a lot of effort.
It's an amazing achievement, and I think especially in this day and age, because a lot of people will go to the cinema nowadays, and it is the kind of Marvel and Star Wars franchises kind of soak up everybody, and independent filmmakers and original ideas, like people with original ideas like yourself, kind of get pushed to one side a bit. And also, if you're making a film on a low budget, sometimes expectations can be too high. What I loved about the film was the absolute scope of ambition there was huge, and there's lots of parts of watching it I thought that reminds me of such and such, or it seemed from my point of view like it was a real kind of labour of love for you.
Oh, absolutely, it was, and I decided to try not to compromise. I mean, you always do. James Cameron spent 200 million on Titanic and he still wasn't happy. So, right, which is what I always remind myself. But one of the things that I find slightly sad about cinema at the moment is corporations are the ones that make the movies and get them out there. And these are multi-million corporations. And in the old days, if an independent filmmaker made a film, he would kind of work in the system. So you'd have the bigger budget movies there, but the independents could always slip into the cinemas and get the kind of and get seen. Whereas now, I mean, there's a lot of people making films at the moment, but it's very difficult for independents to kind of get on the big screen, get seen, because the corporations are kind of clogging everything. I mean, that's not saying I love big films. I've got no problem with Hollywood, but it is quite a tough market to get into, especially in cinema. But this was a film that I spent years on. I put a lot of love into, and amazingly, I banged on the doors of theatrical distributors, and a small UK distributor called Monroe Films said, "Look, we'll put it in cinemas for you." So we did get a theatrical release, and I mean, it was a small release, but it was all over the country, just for a few days here and there. It did really well, It did saying that it did okay, but loads of people went to see it, and it was good. You realise how much money you don't actually make out of these things, but I think what the distributor was so impressed with was the story behind it, and that was kind of how they sold it. Really, Guy spends nearly 20 years making a sci-fi movie, a labour of love, and and I got on TV, and it was quite good. I mean, it did me a lot of favours. The problem is, audiences are so used to seeing multi-million-dollar movies made by these corporations like Disney and Marvel that they just look at this and go, what the hell's this? It's low-budget rubbish. And people seem to think that you choose that. I'd love to make low-budget movies. Why would I want to make anything for millions of dollars when I can make it for nothing? So it's okay. So there's been a bit of stick. I've had a little bit of stick from it, but generally people like yourself absolutely love it. And when you go in with not those same $200 million expectations, you're pleasantly surprised, because it's a good little exciting fun film. Well, I think it is anyway.
I loved it. I mean, I love British sci-fi, and I especially love British apocalyptic sci-fi. And I could see all the sort of like influences there in the film. For me, I might be wrong on some of these, I don't know, but there was a definite, with it being British, there was a kind of definite sort of Doctor Who feeling to it. Yeah. And then, I don't want to get into too many spoilers, but there was almost a bit of Terminator 2 in there, a specific scene.
Oh, yeah. You know what? It's that kind of that scene injected itself into my brain. But I've always wanted to kind of blow up the world ever since I was a kid. So yeah, it was always on the cards even before Terminator 2. But that was as I was putting the scene together, I did use that scene as a kind of a guide or a sort of visual reference. Quite a while actually. But yeah, there's loads of references. Doctor Who, yeah. I mean, it's funny, I went into a meeting years ago, and I showed the film. I showed what I had of the film. I was trying to raise more money, and this film industry woman said, "Oh, it's a bit like Doctor Who, isn't it?" And I was like, "Doctor Who's the biggest British TV export we have. Where do I go from there?" So that was anyway. There you go. So
that just proves they don't get you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you know, this lovely guy did a review on it's out there on YouTube, and he said this is like Doctor Who, but not modern Doctor Who. This is like 70s Doctor Who, and you know, and that was quite nice because it was, and you know, things like $6 Million Man, Buck Rogers, Battlestar, the original Battlestar Galactica.
I was going to bring that up actually.
Hey, yeah, well there you go, yeah, Mr. Austin, yeah, absolutely. So
And,
yeah, and in fact, you know, there's a scene in the beginning of the film is like a reference to that kind of 70s TV, Space 1999, you know, all that UFO. I did exactly like that, and we had a character called Kaleidoscope Man, which I really wanted the $6 Million Man, but obviously that wasn't going to happen. So we made up our own character, you know.
Going back to those apocalyptic scenes as well.
Yes.
I almost got a feeling of like things like Threads and The Day After. There was a definite.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
definitely.
Especially with the couple finding out they were expecting a baby and sort of the news going on in the background. I thought, yeah, that reminds me a little bit of Threads. And
did you see it coming? Did you see the kind of the ending coming at that point?
Not really, no.
Okay, good. Right, that's what I hear. Okay.
I just sat back and enjoyed it, and I just thought it was original. I thought the cast were good, and I just loved all the little twists and turns. And usually, when you're watching a low budget science fiction movie, because I watch a lot of them,
yeah,
if they're done on a low budget, it's kind of it'll be talking all the way through it quite a lot, and then there'll be like a massive effect scene at the end. Whereas yours, there's stuff happening all the way through it.
Yeah. Well, one of the things about spending 20 years on a film is a lot of time to get the script right. You know, and I still felt the middle section is a little bit confusing still, and you know, there was a lot of messing around in the edit. But no, I'm an editor. I started in the film industry as an editor years ago, working in children's TV, things like the Wombles and you know that kind of stuff. And but I really
is it Film Fair that you work for?
Yeah, I used to work for Film Fair. Yeah, that was before they've gone now, sadly. But yeah, it was a great experience. I cut loads of kids' TV shows, but it really taught me how to put films together and tell visual stories. But what I was quite keen on with this film was I didn't want that standing around having too many chats, and it was like bang, 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 bang. And so I've tried to make every line of dialogue and every scene kind of build up towards the story. And I think a lot of people perhaps get a bit lost at the beginning. They're just not kind of expecting that opening especially. And they think that it's more important than it is actually, but it's just sort of setting the scene of this little boy who's got this great excitement and ambition and so much life and energy and loving all that thing. And then we see him as an adult and his life's dull and mundane and he's lost that edge. No, it's, you know, so there's a lot of story in there. There's a lot of different threads. Everybody's got their own motivation and flaws, and then they hopefully grow at the end. That's the idea. And ultimately, the whole story is about us as a species, really. And you know, are we making mistakes? Are we doing things wrong? Anyway, without spoilers.
So, without spoilers, there's a couple of scenes in there that I thought must have been really fun to make. One, if we kind of skirt around it without spoiling it, it kind of reminded me a little bit of 28 Days Later. You get which scene I'm talking about? Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
That must have been great fun.
That was amazing. You know what? I mean, we can say there's a zombie scene in it, okay?
Yeah.
But it's a dream sequence. Because one of our characters, you know, is in a cinema watching a zombie film, and then late in the past, and then in the future, she kind of revisits it in a dream sequence. But yeah, that was amazing. And it was originally going to be an apocalyptic scene, but we'd run out of money, and I crowdfunded specifically for a zombie scene. And being a big fan of the original Dawn of the Dead, I don't know where you live, but I live near Birmingham.
Nottingham.
Nottingham. Okay, not far.
Not too far.
No, just down the road. Well, I went into Birmingham University one day, and I was like, wow, what a huge staircase, loads of floors. And I thought, oh, why did they let me film in here? And at first they weren't sure, but when I pitched it to them, we're doing this zombie, and the zombie's going to run down the stairs. They were like, wow, they got really into it, and they let us film there. We did it for a day, And a lot of people kind of crowdfunded us and helped us get the scene together. Loads of the backers came in and were zombies, and we had something like 85 zombies up there. But I decided not to have them kind of like shuffling. I wanted them to run, be fast running, and you know, which is always trouble. We had steady cams kind of moving around, flights, the cameras on the go all the time. It was a very quick sort of scene, really.
I suppose that's why it reminded me more of 28 Days Later than other zombie films, because they were running.
Yeah, it was really like bang, 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 and the actors, the cast are thrown into this scene like, what's going on? But there's not much time to react. It's all like bang, 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 bang. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. Actually, it was brilliant. Actually, honestly, it was the best day. It's the second best day of the shoot.
The other one, which is probably, I don't know,
Which
it's
was the
probably
first
the best one.
Yeah,
was the crowd scene.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'll let you go as far as you can without spoiling that one.
Okay. Well, there's the invasion planet Earth bit, okay, and the invasion comes. All the ships arrive. The army are there waiting. It's the day the Earth is still, basically, and it was based on things like. Do you know Gorgo?
Gorgo, yeah, it's like the British Godzilla, wasn't it? Yeah.
British Godzilla. I love that film.
That scene in Piccadilly Circus where he's.
It's
bringing down all the
and knocking down.
Yeah.
Have you seen it recently? It looks a bit ropey, but it's kind of it's got a lot of an energy that I really like about that film. But this was a culmination of all those kind of things, and then of course the army let rip, and the ships are firing, and everybody's blowing up, and but that sequence, which runs for about 8 minutes, actually took about 4 years to make, because the first when I first got the movie going, I'd crowdfunded it. I thought I need to build an audience, and we need to get more people in. So I thought we'd do a crowd scene, and I asked the people in central Birmingham. They let us close off the centre, and we had lights on cranes, and it was absolutely fantastic. And it was the first day of the shoot, and Twitter and Facebook were quite new. This is how long ago it was. Me and my friend Mark, we just blitzed out on Twitter and Facebook, come and be an extra, come and be in our sci-fi movie, come and be part of it, come and get blown up, that sort of thing. And we did it for weeks and weeks and weeks. We set the date, and then I turned up on the day, and I was terrified, thinking, oh, what if only like 12 people turn up, But at one point there were 900 people there. And when you see 900 people charging towards you, because we were kind of on ground level, we had the cameras there set up. And I knew there were quite a lot of people over there, and I've been and sort of talked to them through the microphone, And then we shouted action, and they rushed towards us, and they just kept going and kept going. It was amazing. And they ran up and down the streets, and we had lots of cameramen covering these shots. And it was enough to kind of get the scene started. So I did that, and I had various other little bits. The bit where Mandy, Lucy Drive, our actress, her scenes we did in the street round the corner, so that was shot kind of over the next sort of few months, and I cut the scene together, and it was all working really well. And I thought, I really would like the military. How can I get the military in there? How can I get tanks and soldiers? And we were. This was kind of now so we did that bit. Then we shot the rest of the movie, including all the bits on the alien planet Lanzarote. And then what we did was, and I had the film cut, and I thought we need the military. I'd met this, I'm a freelance cameraman, and I met this guy back in 2016, I think, at this World War I event in Rugby. And he had some tanks there. And I said to him, if I can organise Birmingham, do you have any sort of modern tanks we could use? And he said, I've got 72 tanks. I can do tanks, no problem. Okay, so the only thing is you can't really drive them down the M6. So we have to get load lifters. Which is, a huge lorries, and you take 2 tanks. And so we had 3 tanks, an armoured personnel carrier, and a Jeep with a machine gun on the back. And so we set the date for that. That was all good. But then the soldiers, I met this lovely guy, Jack Weston, who kind of was an armourer, and he said, well, we've got loads of mates that will do it. And he brought about 45 soldiers along, and with toy, fake machine guns. I must say toy machine guns. They get angry when you say that. Fake machine guns. And it was a bit of a palaver getting it all together. But once we did it, we shot the soldiers over about 6 hours on a Sunday night. But again, we closed off the centre. And then when I inserted the soldiers in with the running, and we had background plates where the spaceships come in. and it worked a treat. I was so pleased with it, you know. I just thought, oh, people are going to love this scene. So that was it, really. It was a dream. That for me, that was a dream come true. That's the scene I've always wanted to do. So yeah, very happy.
I suppose the problem is when you're shooting a scene like that, is a lot of people might think something's kicking off for real. Did you get any of that? Yeah, it was quite funny actually. I mean, we when the soldiers and the tanks were there, we had to have armed police there. So I had to pay, I think, 250 quid for two policemen with real guns, just in case there was a problem. It wasn't long after that incident in France when those idiots went around and shot people, you know. So it was a bit of an awkward time to bring machine guns into the centre of a city. But they let us do it anyway. They were very good. But I forgot what the question was. Sorry. What did you say? I forgot what it was. Sorry. It was about the problems that you could have when you got tanks and people might think it's real or something's happening. Well,
people can just roll up. But what we had a lot of assistant directors kind of around, kind of rallying, because it's sort of an open area. People were just wandering up and they could hear the screams and stuff. And then we were just getting them to sign disclaimers and come and be part of the scene. But on when we shot the first crowd scene, I said to everybody, you know, scream, you know, really, as you're running up the street, run along, look behind you and scream. And they're all doing it. And the sound of the screaming echoing from the city. People were coming out of the pubs, go, what's going on? And they're all kind of standing there drunk, and I'm going, run. And there was one take where we had the people run by, and this one cameraman caught, and there were 3 blokes with cans of lager at the end running along like this. It was really funny. I should have put it in the movie, but we didn't in the end. So no, it was great, and we had all security in that. So there wasn't. Everybody just joined in. Some of the homeless people got up and just ran along and were part of it as well. It was fantastic. And we let them, you know, they whiffed all the biscuits and everything. We had a little bit of food out there ready for it. It was gone in like 5 seconds. But, no, it was fantastic. It was a brilliant experience.
And of course you had a few famous faces in the film as well. Toya Wilcox.
Yeah, Toya. Yeah, I mean, what can I say about Toya? Strangely enough, I met her at Comic-Con in Birmingham years before, and I had a little chat with her then. But I went to this event. Do you know Debbie Isaac? She's the director of the Nativity films. She lives in Coventry. She did a little talk, and I went along to it, and there's Toya. So I just kind of smoothed over and had a chat with her, and asked her about if she'd be interested, and she said she loves doing acting. And I said, it's a low budget movie. There won't be much money, but it's going to be good. And when she said she was interested, I boosted her pass up a little bit, and she came in for a few days. We got on really well. She's such a lovely person to work with. Everybody loved working with her, and she did brilliantly. And then at the end, I'd update her because the film was taking so many years to do. I'd update her, and I said, you know, we've got a song. Would you be interested in singing a song for us? And she said, absolutely. And I've never written anything in my life, but I wrote some lyrics. My friend Alan did he did the hard bit, he did the music and made it into a song. And Toya comes and she sang it absolutely beautifully. And it's been great. And she's put it on her album, on her Greatest Hits album. So I'm very pleased.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that was really good. So now I'm part of her catalogue, which is amazing. So,
I think she does actually love sci-fi though, because she's on one of the Doctor Who DVDs saying how much she loved it. And I remember she was in
Doctor Who.
Sorry,
was she in Doctor Who?
I don't think she's been in it, but she's a massive fan.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And she was in Quatermass, the John Mills Quatermass.
Yeah.
In '79, wasn't she?
Yeah, she's done a few sci-fi things. Yeah. And she's done some lower budget things, but she told me she loves sci-fi. When I first met her, Ender's Game was just out. That's how long ago it was. Ender's Game. She said, "Oh, we saw this film," and she told me all about it. She was very, very excited. Her and her husband are big fans, but she's been so supportive. She put me in touch with people, and introduced you. And she came to we had a premiere here in Birmingham, and she came along and did an interview on stage with us, and that was fantastic, absolutely brilliant. And she shouted about it all over Twitter and everything. It's been fantastic. So, yeah, really
the rest
good.
of the cast were really good as well.
Oh, bless you. They're such a lovely. I feel a bit sorry because there's certain people that don't get the film and they're saying, "Oh, it's terrible. This is terrible. That," and the actors work so hard. They really try to make it their own and create these rounded characters in a very complicated situation. I mean, it took a long time to do as well. We didn't do it in 5 minutes. We did it over months and months, and I was so pleased. I thought, you know, Simon as the lead man was brilliant, and Julie, Danny, Sophie, absolutely brilliant. You know, and you know, we had lots of people coming in, and that was great. Ben Shockley's in it as well, who's an old friend of mine. He plays the guy that the hard guy that comes in with the daughter, you know, and he's in lots of independent films as well, low budget independent films. Good guys.
I think people need to check out more of these independent films. I mean, the last couple of years, myself and my wife Carol and some of our friends, we're friendly with the guys from Starburst magazine, and they put on a film festival in Manchester, Media City, the last couple of years. And you see sort of like over the course of the weekend, I mean, obviously we break it up and go for food and stuff like that, but you probably see about 3 or 4 films. Some people are more dedicated and see more than that. But what we have seen has been really, really good quality.
Yeah, really.
And you're thinking, people are missing out on this stuff because it doesn't seem to get a platform.
Yeah, it's true. Even now, you know, a few years ago, getting onto Netflix was easier. But now Netflix tend to produce their own stuff, so they're not buying quite as much as they do. And what a lot of independent filmmakers do now is they get their films on like Amazon, Google Play, all these, I've forgotten, you know, iTunes and that sort of thing. But where we all struggle is marketing, you know, and that's in a way where independents need to throw the money. But the problem is Hollywood are much better at it. They've got endless supplies of money, so it's hard to get noticed. So it's really going. It's a bit like the old days, and when I say the old days, I mean like the beginning of cinema, where you had to go and find your audience and create a niche audience for yourself, and you know, and like sci-fi fans, tapping into sci-fi fans, people like ourselves that like those independent films, you know, finding those people and kind of connecting with those audiences. And I'm finding that on Twitter. You kind of, you I don't know what it is, but I seem to connect with people like yourself. And we're kind of very like-minded. We brought up on the same sort of things. And I think that's the way to do it. Trying to do it on a sort of global scale is hard. Saying that, I've been very lucky. I've got DVD distribution here. I've got digital distribution, cinema distribution here. The film's been very successful in America, Canada, on DVD and digital. It's coming out in Japan. It's been out in South Korea, Germany. Bought it. Who else has bought it? Australia. It comes out in Australia in the next couple of months. So, this month. Yeah. So I haven't seen. Well, I'm waiting for the dollars to roll in. But you know, it's been really good. We got to number 19 in the UK film charts back in February, which is just amazing. You know, so very, very happy. It would help. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Sorry, do you get this bit of a lag on?
No. Yeah, I know, it's annoying. Let me just say it'd be really great if anyone's watching this from British TV. It'd be TV buyers. We need the TV to support us. I mean, the mainstream TV to support independent cinema more as well, and just buy more independent stuff. We can all see the Hollywood stuff. Anyway, sorry, sir. Carry on.
I was thinking it's almost a shame that we haven't got a kind of UK sci-fi channel or something, you know, that shows UK cult films, and maybe mix it up with like old TV series and things like that. I mean, we have the sci-fi channel, but all the films seem a little bit generic and a bit kind of samey.
Yeah, and the trouble is they don't pay much, and you need, it's a paradox because making independent sci-fi movie is expensive. Sci-fi is expensive. I mean, I suppose it's nowadays we can all do effects a bit easier than we used to, but so you need money for it. You need money for it, but then nobody wants to give you money because these, you know, when the Sci-Fi Channel will give you like $5,000, or if that, it's probably less than that for your film. It's not really going to make a huge difference because when you're trying to employ actors and crew and casting to do it, pay them properly. Even if you pay them absolute minimum wage, that money's not going to go very far. So it's a tricky one. It's very, very tricky finding the balance. I don't know. I'm not sure what the answer is.
It was kind of a shame, really, that we've not got the old days where you would get a B movie before the main feature. Because if you sort of tag your movie onto like the beginning of a Star Wars film or a Marvel or
what, do they kill me? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You know what I mean? People would say, "Oh, I enjoyed that. I'll go and buy it."
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. There was back in, I mean, I guess I'm a bit older than you. Back when the original Star Wars came out, there was a film called Dark Knight or the Black Knight or something. I can't remember.
Oh,
but
Black Angel, Empire
something like
Strikes
that.
Back.
No, it was Star Wars. Was it? I should know. It was the original Star Wars. It was the sword and sorcery thing.
Yeah, Black Angel. It was the
Was it Black Angel?
to
Well,
Empire Strikes Back. And for years and years, I always wondered about that film because I never saw it again anywhere. And then it got released about 8 years ago, and it was a lot shorter than I remembered. I thought it was a full-length film.
It was apparently it was a pilot. It was a pilot for a feature. He was trying to get the feature off the ground, but it got massive distribution. No, that was great. But there was a period, wasn't there, when you get the A and the B movie. That was where B movie came from. It was the cheaper one before the big one, before the A movie. So, but yeah, it's funny. I mean, one of the nice things about having made this film is I think the next one's going to be a bit easier. We've already started it.
Can you tell us more about that one, please?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's called Of Infinite Worlds.
Brilliant.
And a lot of people gave me a bit of stick on Invasion Planet Earth for being too ambitious. So this time around, I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to go bigger. So we've got, it's a huge sci-fi movie, set slightly in the future, around about 2050. And some astronauts are called out to, they discover something on Europa, bit slightly 2001 inspired, but they find something on the planet Europa, the moon Europa, which is Jupiter, and they go there and they find this gateway that takes them to anywhere in the universe. It's very, very exciting. And there's aliens in it, robots, laser battles, space battles. It's huge. And I learned so much on Invasion Planet Earth. What we decided to do this time, I had CGI spaceships in Invasion Planet Earth, and they were great. And an animator I saw a 3D animator would take the ships, and he gave me lots of, ships kind of flying in, and I'm doing it with my hands here. I was sort of flying in or kind of over camera, that sort of thing. But I found it a little bit restrictive. So what I've done is I've gone a bit old school, and I've got this fantastic model maker building these proper spaceships. Good old, you can pick the things up and hold them. He's just finishing the second one, and there are about 8 in all. And what we're going to do is I've spoken to this, because of COVID, no one's got any work at the moment. So I've spoken to this motion control company in London who normally they do the Avengers and they're doing all these big Hollywood blockbusters. They're sitting around twiddling their thumbs. And I said, look, I've got a little bit of cash. It'll be a little bit, not much. And they're going to fly the spaceships for me. And
oh, that's amazing.
Like those robot arms you get in the factories.
Yeah.
They put the spaceship on one of them, and it's a 3-foot model, and so it can kind of move around like this. But the camera's on a similar robot, and it flies in and flies away from it. So you get those lovely shots of them kind of veering off. And I don't know, I probably look like a complete idiot on it, but you get that kind of lovely effects thing. So we're going to be doing that, and in September we're going to shoot. I mean, I've been storyboarding it all today and just working out the shots, and they're going to shoot it for us. So it should be really interesting seeing how real models compare to the CGI ones. And technology. In fact, in the last year, technology is just. I mean, I don't know if you've heard of Unreal Engine, but it's this game engine technology now, like the Mandalorian. These kind of you can create these 3D worlds and move around them, and I didn't have that when I was finishing off Invasion. So it's going to be fantastic. We're really, really excited about it, and we're getting some nice spaceship sets built, and and it's going to move along very quickly, like Invasion Planet Earth does as well. So it should be really good.
Well, Simon, it's been lovely talking to you.
Sorry, mate. I can waffle on, as you can tell.
No, we love it. We love it. It's been lovely talking to you, and we wish you every success with your next film.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Invasion Planet Earth. I got it on DVD. Where else can people see it?
It was available in supermarkets. Probably isn't now. I know that HMV, should it ever open, it's in HMV, but you can order it on Amazon. That's the best place. And it's not on Blu-ray, but I'd really recommend the DVD actually, because you get the film, of course, but you also get the making of, and the making of is really inspiring, especially if you're interested in making films or how films are made. It will show you what I did where I went wrong, where I went right, and I think people find it really useful. And you've got all the deleted scenes and things. So you buy a DVD on Amazon. I think it's like £3. It's not much as well. And so I get 60p of that, or whatever. It's not brilliant, but also you can watch it digitally on Amazon. It's on iTunes, Sky Store, Rakuten, and all these other platforms. That's in the UK, and it's all over America and Canada, and it'll be in Europe soon. So if anyone's watching further afield, please watch it and let us know what you think. And don't watch Rise of Skywalker beforehand, okay?
Awesome, Simon. Thank you very much for
you.
talking to Geeky Sci-Fi TV.
Pleasure. Thanks for your lovely speech, you.